Mom, I can't keep living like this, Ethan. And his mom barely let me eat. Then a sudden SOS call came from my once happy daughter, Elana. Elana, come back home. I instinctively shouted. Elana had become worryingly thin. I won't forgive Ethan and his mother, I resolved with determination. Let me introduce myself. I'm Jana, a 50-year-old housewife. My husband, James, is 52 and works for a company. Our daughter is turning 26. After graduating from college, she landed a job at a major corporation and started living alone. James and I were enjoying our life as a couple after Elana moved out. Although successful in her job, Elana was shy around men and hesitant in relationships. So when she got a boyfriend, James and I were overjoyed. James kept urging Elana to bring him over, asking what's he like. Bring him home sometime. I cautioned James. Honey, don't push her. She'll introduce him when she's ready. Let's wait patiently. Elana just smiled. Soon Elana said she'd bring Ethan over. She playfully told James, Dad, you kept insisting. So I complained to Ethan. He agreed to come over to meet you. But don't say anything weird to Ethan, okay? James was visibly delighted when Ethan came to greet us. James and I were nervous. However, Ethan's friendly conversation soon eased our tension. Ethan introduced himself to James and me. Hello, I'm Ethan Smith, and I'm seriously dating Elana with the intention of marrying her. Elana blushed and said, Marrying me? You're embarrassing me. You said it was just a casual greeting. James happily told Elana, No, it's great that he's thinking about the future, Ethan. I entrust Elana to you. Their relationship progressed smoothly with our blessing, and Ethan proposed formally 5 months later. Seeing a blushing but happy Elana made both James and me very happy. I heard Ethan worked for a major bank system company. James and I discussed how their future seemed secure as wedding preparations began. On a frequently sought advice. One day, Elana asked me, Hey, Mom, how much is the market price for a wedding ring? Ethan is planning to buy one for about $10,000. Surprised, I replied, for wedding rings, maybe about $2,500 each for the couple. I've heard engagement rings are around $3,500. Elana seemed a bit uneasy. Right? I thought so too, she said. After asking around and reading magazines, I felt Ethan's sense of money was odd. However, when Elana said, Ethan insists it's a once-in-a-lifetime thing and wants me to have something nice, I conveniently interpreted it as Ethan wanting to give her a special gift. After some time, the two moved out of their bachelor's residence and into a condominium in New York. The area was very expensive but convenient for commuting. I was a little concerned and said to Elana, Hey, Elana, the area you and Ethan live in must be pretty expensive to rent, right? Are you going to be able to afford the monthly payments? She reassured me, Don't worry, Mom. Ethan's working hard and earns a decent salary too. His job requires living near the bank. Ethan is a systems engineer at a bank-rated systems company. If there is a problem, Ethan needs to rush to the site even in the middle of the night. That's why the location had to be close to the bank, within a short taxi ride. Apparently, Elana explained, Ethan's company gives a substantial housing allowance, so we're fine. Don't worry, Mom. Not fully understanding the company's situation, I had come to accept it as the new normal. Months passed, and I extended an invitation to Elana for lunch before her wedding. Elana and I had often enjoyed lunch together in the past, but after her marriage, she frequently declined, citing work commitments or prior plans. James suggested she might be adjusting to her new married life, but it felt like Elana was avoiding me. Over the phone, Elana agreed to join me for lunch the next Saturday, saying, Oh, that's when Ethan is on a business trip. Sure, Mom. I can make it. I'll find a place for us. I felt a bit thrilled at the prospect of lunch with my daughter after half a year. When I finally saw Elana, she looked a bit pale. Concerned, I asked her what was wrong and suggested she rest if she wasn't feeling well. Elana reassured me, saying she was fine, just tired from overtime at work. She thought lunch with me might help her unwind. We enjoyed a good chat for about 2 hours, just the two of us. About 2 hours in, Elana's phone rang. She looked shocked at the display. She told me, "Mom, I have to go home already. Ethan's mother is calling." Elana explained that Ivy was at their place. Surprised, I apologized for keeping her during such a busy time, and Elana quickly left. Another half year went by, and during this time, something terrible happened to Elana. I learned about it from a phone call from her. It was a sad day, and James and I were enjoying our day off. While I was making her tea, suddenly my phone rang. The display showed Elana's name. I quickly answered. Elana hesitantly started, "Mom, it's me." Hi." She seemed unable to continue. Sensing something was wrong, I asked her what the matter was. She remained silent for a while, and I patiently waited for her to start talking. Eventually, she said, "Mom, I can't live like this anymore. Ethan and his mom barely let me eat. I might not survive if this continues." Shocked, I asked if she was okay, expressing concern about the severity of the situation and suggesting she come back home. Elana seemed undecided. I told her, "If you're feeling unwell, you can just sit around, Ellie. Come back home. We'll talk it over when you get here." Elana responded, "Really? Can I come back? But I don't have any money. I can't leave." I thought this was strange. Elana was earning a decent salary, but there was no time for a long discussion. Her situation sounded serious. First, I need to meet with Elana to see how she is doing. I told myself. I instructed Elana, "Take only your valuables with you and leave the house. There's a convenience store near your apartment, right? I will drive there and pick you up. Wait for me there." Sobbing, Elana agreed. So James and I hurried to the convenience store. When we arrived, Elana was crouched in the parking lot. When she saw me, she said, Mom, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done this," and broke down in tears. I hugged her, and together with James, we helped her into the car. She was terribly thin and almost gray in complexion. What could have happened to her? I was astonished. I held Elana until she stopped crying. James said to me, "She will not be able to come down here. Let's take her home soon and give her a good rest. We need to talk to Ethan." I agreed with James. Yes, right now, letting Elana rest is our top priority. When we arrived home, Elana, possibly due to exhaustion, immediately fell asleep on the sofa. After she woke up, I served her some easy-to-eat food. She ate voraciously in front of us. She must have been very hungry. It was shocking to hear her stories about not being allowed to eat and having no money. I asked Elana, "What do you mean you're not allowed to eat?" Elana explained, "My salary is lower than Ethan's, so Ethan and his mom, Ivy, keep telling me to save more." Gradually, my food portions were reduced. I asked, "Really? But you're making the food, right? Because you're a married couple, and you eat the same food, right?" Elana shook her head. "No, for the past 6 months, Ivy has been cooking Ethan's meals. I'm not even allowed in the kitchen." James asked, "It is in your house. This is the first time I'm hearing about this. Does this mean Ivy is staying there all the time?" Elana explained that Ivy had moved in with them about 6 months ago. They started living together gradually, right around the time Elana and I had lunch. He had an argument with her husband and came to stay with Ethan for just a week. But then Ethan got mad at his father and told Ivy she could stay indefinitely. I was shocked and glanced at James, who seemed to feel the same. Elana continued, "Since then, Ivy has been criticizing my budget, saying it's all wrong and that I can't manage money at all. After Ivy criticized the budget, she took control of the household finances. Moreover, Ethan did not oppose Ivy at all and instead joined her in blaming me. Now Ivy is controlling Ethan's and my entire salary." Elana said, "Ivy saw Elana's pay slip and demanded she work more, including overtime. I distinctly remember telling Elana, 'Your salary is much lower than Ethan's. Leave the housework to me and consider working more. How about doing more overtime?' Ethan also chimed in, saying, 'Yes, that's right. I agree with more overtime. It's nice to have my mom doing the housework. You're lucky.' Ivy scrutinized Elana's pay slips, always on the lookout for unnecessary expenses. Eventually, she found something else to criticize: the cafeteria deductions. Elana's company had a cafeteria, and lunch costs were deducted from her salary. Ivy told Elana, 'You're spending too much on lunch. I'll make you a lunchbox from now on. Stop eating at the cafeteria.' Elana's attempts to argue were met with attacks from both Ivy and Ethan. Whenever I try to speak up, Ivy and Ethan gang up on me. It never ends up being a calm discussion," Elana confided. Her attempts were suppressed by Ivy and Ethan. Now Ethan and Ivy controlled all of Elana's salary, leaving her with almost no money of her own. When Elana wanted to go to the hair salon, Ivy called it extravagant and reluctantly gave her money. Ivy also complained about Elana's makeup being too expensive, telling her to buy cheaper products. Elana couldn't even buy new clothes, but Ivy never complained about Ethan's spending. Elana told me the other day Ethan bought a branded watch. He told me that because of his job, he would be treated like an idiot if he didn't wear something decent. Ethan had a reckless way of spending his money. Elana began to sob as she recalled these painful events. James and I listened in disbelief. Then Elana's phone rang. She flinched and turned pale. I instinctively answered the phone for her. It was Ivy. "Isn't this Elana's phone? Why is Johnny answering?" Ivy asked. I told Ivy, "Hello, it's been a while. Elana is not feeling well. I can talk to you on her behalf." Ivy said, "Is that so? Well, all right. Could you tell Elana to come back home soon?" I replied, "Unfortunately, I can't do that. Elana is unwell. She'll stay here until she recovers." Ivy retorted, "You're coddling her too much. As a mother, you should educate Elana properly. She can't manage a budget or do household chores. It's always one problem after another." Struggling to find the right words, I remained silent. Then Ivy changed the topic, asking, "So Elana will be commuting to work from your home?" I replied, "Yes, considering her health, we'll need to discuss this with her company. But for now, she'll be commuting from here." Ivy then said, "Please tell Elana to return as soon as she's well." I responded, "Excuse me, Ivy, but I think it's necessary for us, including Ethan, to have a discussion about the future living arrangements." Ivy snorted and said, "Fine, he can talk anytime." Before hanging up, I couldn't understand why Ivy was so confident, but at least Elana was safe for now. We needed to focus on her health and feelings and plan our next steps. That night, after Elana went to sleep, James and I discussed the situation. The next day, Elana was examined at a hospital. As expected, she was underweight and not sleeping well. After talking with her, we decided she should take a leave of absence from work. She enjoyed my cooking, saying it was delicious. I asked her, "What were you eating while living with Ethan? What kind of meals did Ivy prepare for you?" Then Elana said, "My mother-in-law only cooks for Ethan and herself. I always had bread ends from a local bakery. They sell bread ends very cheaply. That's what I had to eat." I was shocked. Lana had been deprived of proper meals while Ivy and Ethan ate normally. Just bread-ins. Since when? What about your lunchbox? Didn't Ivy prepare that too? I asked. Elana explained. I should have been stopped from eating at the company cafeteria by Ivy. Since 3 months ago, my lunchbox was just bread-ins in a container. I was embarrassed, so I ate secretly in the break room when no one was around. Elana said Ivy would taunt her about not earning as much as Ethan, saying, "With your salary, bread-ins are all you deserve." She had been living on just bread-ins for 3 months. I was shocked, and James, who heard everything, couldn't hide his surprise. Elana, tired from talking, lay down to rest. James told me, "This is serious, strange. We need to investigate further. If Ethan or Ivy calls again, by that time, I'll gather more information." I told James, "Yes, I think this is going too far." The next day, we began delving deeper into Elana's circumstances. I started by calling her work colleague, who said, recently, Elana had been doing a lot of overtime and looked pale. She often declined after-work drinks, saying she couldn't go because of her husband and mother-in-law. James also talked to Elana's boss, who mentioned, "I've been concerned about Elana lately because she's been doing too much overtime. She seemed desperate to work." Elana's boss commented, "Elana is so conscientious. Maybe she's been pushing herself too hard. I hope she recovers soon and comes back to us." Thanks to her boss's initiative, Elana was granted sickness allowance by her company. The allowance was 2/3 of her salary, but we were grateful to receive it. We decided to have the sickness allowance paid into a different account from her usual salary account. 2 weeks after Elana returned home, Ethan called. He insisted Elana should be well by now. "Please tell her to come back," he said. When I looked at James, he answered the phone. James humbly requested Ethan, "Elana is not fully recovered yet. Please let her rest for another week." Ethan told James over the phone, "I guess there's no choice. Just 1 more week, okay?" And then hung up. I protested to James, but she needs at least 3 more weeks to recover, and we don't know what they'll do to her if she goes back. James reassured me, "Don't worry, we won't stick to the 1-week timeline. They treated her terribly, and we have a plan." He then asked Elana, "What do you want to do? If you want to try again with Ethan, we won't stop you. But if you want to leave him, we'll support you." Elana, suddenly resolute, said, "I've been thinking. Am I really as useless as Ivy and Ethan say? But this isn't right. They're just taking my money. I don't want this anymore. I want a divorce," Elana declared. James encouraged her, saying, "That's right. You've chosen your path. We'll always be on your side." James shared the information he had gathered with us. We prepared for the possibility of Ethan coming over, ready to handle the situation. 1 week passed, and we didn't contact Ethan. 9 days later, Ethan and Ivy came to visit. When the doorbell rang, I checked the intercom and informed Elana and James. James suggested, "Let's talk to them directly and settle this." Elana nodded in agreement. Opening the door, we found Ethan and Ivy glaring at us. Calming myself, I greeted them warmly. "Hello, what brings you here so suddenly?" Ethan demanded. "Why hasn't Elana returned home? It's been a week. You could tell her, right?" Ivy also chimed in. "That's right. You can't do your chores, you can't do your laundry, and you can't even keep your promise to come home. What a mess you are. Parents and children are helpless." I invited them in, saying, "Let's not talk in the doorway. Please come inside." Reluctantly, they entered. Elana told them firmly, "I won't return to that house, Ethan. Please, let's divorce. I can't live with you anymore." Ethan threatened loudly, "You think you can just decide that?" Elana stood her ground, facing Ethan with resolve. Ivy then berated Elana. "For 6 months, I did all the housework and supported Ethan while you neglected your duties. Elana told Ivy, "It's not that I didn't do the chores. Whenever I did, you criticized my methods and took over the tasks, didn't you?" Ivy retorted, "How dare you speak to me like that? After making me work so hard, you should be ashamed." Ethan joined in, "That's right. My mother helped because you couldn't handle the chores, allowing you to focus on work." Then James shouted at them, "What nonsense. You took Elana's salary and fed her only bread-ins. Your actions are the worst kind of abuse." They were shocked by James's outburst. James added, "Ethan, you have been fired from your company. I checked out your employment status. You don't have the power to continue paying the rent on that apartment anymore, do you?" Ethan began to look uneasy. Elana added, "I didn't know until Dad told me." James continued, "I hired a detective to find out, Ethan. You were fired 6 months ago for an affair with your boss's wife." Elana accused Ethan, "You pushed me to work because you lost your job and income." Ethan turned pale and hung his head. James then confronted Ivy, "You have a shopping addiction, and that's right, you didn't leave your home due to a fight, but because you were divorced and had nowhere to go." Ivy lost her composure and turned pale. James concluded, Ethan is being sued for alimony, and Ivy is being chased by debt collectors. They were trying to pass their debts on to Elana. Trembling with anger, Elana placed a piece of paper on the desk, saying, "Once and for all, let's divorce. I fill out half of the divorce form. You complete it and submit it to the authorities. We'll communicate through lawyers from now on." Ethan prostrated at Elana's feet on the carpet, pleading, "Please don't say we should divorce. It was just a moment of madness. I was wrong to hide it from you. You're all I have, Elana. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me," Ethan pleaded, his voice filled with regret. Ivy also appealed to Elana, crying, "I did all the housework and took care of everything, didn't I? I'm sorry. Please come back. I'll keep doing the chores." Elana, looking at Ethan and Ivy coldly, said, "I'm fed up. Who would want to start over with you two? You hid what you did and exploited my salary. I don't want to see your faces." Ethan and Ivy were unable to move from their spot, crying inconsolably. James sternly told them, "The conversation is over. It's time for you to leave. If you don't, we have our ways to deal with it." Reluctantly, Ethan and Ivy stood up and left our home, defeated. Afterward, with a lawyer's help, Elana and Ethan officially divorced. Of course, we filed for alimony from Ethan. In addition to hiding his affair, we also added the fact that Ethan did not provide adequate meals to Elana in the alimony claim. We had a doctor's diagnosis, which served as conclusive evidence against Ethan. Ethan had to move out of the apartment and live in a cheaper one with Ivy. Now, he works day and night to pay the alimony to Elana, and Ivy, not working, has become the target of Ethan's anger, and they constantly fight. Our lawyer informed us about Ethan and Ivy's current situation. Elana fully recovered and returned to work. She seems to be enjoying her work more than ever. She apologized to me and James, saying, "I'm sorry for being a burden and coming back home. Thank you for all your help with the divorce. I'll be staying here for a while." I hugged her, saying, "Divorce doesn't matter. The fact that you're alive and well is all that matters to us." James added, "Don't overdo it. You're a hard worker, and sometimes you keep things to yourself too much." Elana admitted, "I should have talked to you both sooner. I tried to handle too much on my own." Seeing Elana's smile return was truly heartwarming. James, who stood by us and fought against Ethan and Ivy, proved to be incredibly reliable. I fell for him all over again. When I told him, he joked, "Then how about showing your gratitude with food? Make my favorite pork cutlets tonight." As a family, we've overcome difficulties and will surely face more in the future. But with James and Elana by my side, I want to support each other as a family. Our bond has only grown stronger through this ordeal, and I'm grateful for the love and unity we share. And so, with Elana's determination, James's support, and our collective strength as a family, we embrace the future with renewed hope and resilience, ready to face whatever challenges come our. As days passed, our home became a sanctuary of healing and love. Elana gradually regained her strength, both physically and emotionally, surrounded by the unwavering support of her family. Together, we embarked on a journey of rediscovery and empowerment. Elana threw herself into her work with renewed vigor, channeling her energy into projects that fueled her passion. Her creativity flourished, and she found fulfillment in making a positive impact in her field. James continued to be her rock, offering guidance and encouragement every step of the way. With time, the wounds inflicted by Ethan and Ivy began to heal, replaced by a newfound sense of liberation and independence. Elana embraced life with newfound confidence, knowing that she was free from the shackles of an abusive relationship. As for Ethan and Ivy, they faced the consequences of their actions. Despite their initial struggles, they eventually came to terms with the reality of their situation. Ethan learned the value of humility and hard work, while Ivy confronted her own demons and embarked on a journey of self-discovery. Meanwhile, our family thrived in the warmth of love and unity. We celebrated milestones together, cherishing each moment as a testament to our resilience and strength. And as we looked towards the future, we knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, we would face them together as a family. In the end, our story was not defined by the trials we faced, but by the bonds that held us together. And as we stood hand in hand, gazing towards the horizon, we knew that no matter what storms may come, our love would always be our guiding light, illuminating the path to a brighter. Certainly, the moral of the story underscores the significance of familial bonds, resilience in the face of adversity, and the courage to break free from toxic relationships. It emphasizes the transformative power of love, support, and inner strength in overcoming hardships and forging a path towards a brighter future. As we conclude this narrative, let's reflect on the journey we've embarked upon together. Through the trials and tribulations faced by Elana and her family, we've witnessed the transformative power of love, resilience, and the unwavering support of those closest to us. In the face of adversity, Elana's story serves as a beacon of hope, reminding us of the strength that lies within each of us to confront and overcome life's challenges. It underscores the importance of familial bonds, the courage to break free from toxic relationships, and the resilience to rebuild our lives anew. As we bid farewell to Elana and her family, let us carry with us the lessons learned from their experiences, the importance of compassion, empathy, and the belief that even in our darkest moments, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. May Elana's journey inspire us to nurture the bonds that unite us, to stand tall in the face of adversity, and to embrace the promise of a brighter tomorrow. And as we venture forth into the unknown, may we do so with hope in our hearts and the unwavering knowledge that together we can overcome anything that comes our way. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Until we meet again, may your path be filled with love, courage, and endless possibilities.